How do people who are unable to get satisfaction from life behave? Some people seem quite cheerful, content with little. They have a roof over their head, some work, some free time for personal interests and a suitable person nearby. Other people have everything their soul desires, but rarely enjoy life and are clearly unhappy in general. This difference in perception of the world and one's place in it can have many reasons, from the discrepancy between reality and expectations to the agonizing search for a higher meaning and a worthy goal. However, we will now look specifically at the patterns of behavior inherent in people who do not feel satisfied with life, always in pursuit. If a person cannot be satisfied with what they have, they will not be satisfied with more either, because there is always something even greater. This manifests itself in many different ways. The relentless search for a new job with a focus solely on the paycheck rather than on matching one's interests. The desire to move, albeit in a rented, but more luxurious housing. The dream of a new smartphone of the latest model. Although the existing phone is fine, it is just considered obsolete, as reported by advertising, colleagues and friends. On the one hand, the mode of eternal pursuit allows you to better adapt to change, but on the other, does not allow you to relax for a second. Having fallen hostage to the culture of consumption, a person is not satisfied until he or she reaches full compliance with fashion and trends. When the height is taken, it immediately becomes clear that new heights are ahead, and so on to infinity. Comparison with others. Unsatisfied people always look around, trying on other people's successes and achievements on themselves. These are bright posts in social networks about traveling, colleagues moving up the career ladder, acquaintances who have built perfect relationships. It seems as if everyone around you is living life to the fullest, enjoying every day, and only you can enjoy it. And so it will be until you focus on yourself and your idea of happiness. Until then, it remains only to gossip and quietly discuss others. Exaggerated standards. The desire to bring to perfection all around is commendable, but only when you have become flawless at least in something. Exaggerated standards, declared sloppy or unprofessional, at least look ridiculous, and in some cases cause doubts about the adequacy of the person. However, the perfectionist himself is also not easy. Any trifle, an insignificant detail of the big plan, going wrong as conceived, can ruin the day. Such things happen regularly, because it is impossible to calculate everything. Hence the eternal dissatisfaction. Even when everything is going well enough, the key here is good, which is not ideal. Thus, nothing, including achieved goals, does not allow you to enjoy the triumph. Sometimes they cause exactly the opposite feeling, disappointment and dissatisfaction. Fear of taking risks. Risk can be reckless and justified. It's all about the math. If the chances of success have an acceptable value, why not take a risk? Of course, the bet is also important, so there is no strict formula. However, each of us has intuition and our own idea of acceptable risk. Buying a lottery ticket is purely material and relatively small risk. The main thing is not to fall into unbridled excitement. Jumping with a parachute, a sudden change of work or social circle, this is a risk of a different nature. Being in a state of constant dissatisfaction, a person becomes afraid of life itself and the surprises that it can throw up. Therefore, any risk is perceived not as an opportunity, but primarily as a threat. Meanwhile, a successful risk can turn a person's position upside down, change his life beyond recognition. In addition, even a well-calculated risk is still in the field of improvisation, turning into experience, regardless of the result. Unreasonable expectations. Most of us are well aware that life does not always move on a smooth surface. There are passes. Sometimes you have to choose the direction at the crossroads and drive out on unasphalted areas. Otherwise you will not move far, although someone is quite suitable for this option. The biggest problems are experienced by people who want to move forward, but expect that everything will always be easy. Obviously, this is not the case, so the reality soon catches up with them. Faced with difficulties, seeing how the plan goes down, they are deeply disappointed and prefer to curtail all activities in this direction. Doubt and indecision. Not all of us play chess professionally, so doubts about a serious choice are normal. Sometimes it's really better to weigh everything and measure 7 times. But often indecision penetrates much deeper, and here a person is no longer able to make even the simplest decisions. What clothes to wear for an evening walk? What route to take home? What to buy in the store? Each choice is given with difficulty, is taken in a completely manual mode, which gives an additional load on the already loaded brain. A person in this position will never decide to make serious changes in life. After all, they imply a huge number of large and small tasks that will need to be solved. This looks threatening, frightening and repulsive. Better a gray but existing reality than something promising, but almost impenetrable. Life without purpose. When the goal is not defined, it is impossible to choose a direction. A person moves by inertia in some direction, entrusting his life in the hands of chance. Therefore, all the troubles and lack of achievements are written off to external factors. There are incompetent people around, unfavorable circumstances, the desired chance has not presented itself. You can find as many excuses as you want, and most importantly, they will be at least partially fair. Choosing a random direction instead of a personal goal, a person really turns out to be more dependent on external factors. This makes one feel abandoned to the mercy of fate, which is so cruel. However, the main choice, the abandonment of the goal, was made by the person himself, perhaps unconsciously, but the worse for him. Fixation on the past and the future. Reflecting on mistakes made in the past is only worthy of consideration once. When conclusions are drawn, lessons are learned. Endlessly rehashing a situation that was left far behind is not helpful. On the contrary, it is a waste of time and emotional energy. Approximately the same is the case with worrying about the future. It is necessary to look there periodically, if only to check the map and check whether you have not lost your way. But endless planning is worthless when there is no direct action. All actions are done in the present, which is where we live. Everything else is already past or is yet to come. Excessive fixation on the past or the future indicates that a person is trying to find fulfillment there. Such an attempt is doomed to failure. Excessive self-criticism. Healthy self-criticism is necessary, because you know better than anyone how much effort you have put into a task, how fast or slow you are progressing in something. Problems begin when self-criticism becomes the basis of a dialogue with oneself. As a result, a person gets undermined self-esteem, even more dissatisfaction with life and any activity. Self-criticism should be followed by conclusions and actions aimed at correcting shortcomings, otherwise it turns into self-beating, which is of no use at all.